everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Macy and it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and clicking on this video and checking me out. I really do appreciate it. So this is my first YouTube video, so obviously I have lots of videos to come. This is a channel full of fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, and I am so excited. I've wanted to do this for forever. So this is my everyday makeup routine. So these are the products I use every day, the technique that I use, as well as the look that I come up with in the end. So if I'm not talking this through, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes tops. And so it's very easy to follow along with, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe and stick around because obviously there's more to come. Without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna pull my hair up just so I can kind of get out of my face. Okay, so the first step for my makeup routine is starting out with some sort of moisturizer. So I am going in with just my Mario Badescu Skincare Facial Spray with Aloe Herb and Rose Water. So I know you can actually use this product to set your face, you can use it to hydrate your skin, and then you can kind of use it to give it a boost throughout the day whenever you need. I've played with the product myself, and for my skin type, since I am more on the oily side, I like to use it as a hydrating base. And so I'm going to now just use my chapstick. Now it is time to move on to priming the skin. So I like to use the NYX Angel Veil. This is their Skin Perfecting Oil-Free Primer, obviously from the drugstore. And I like to use the mattifying primer since I use the rose water in the beginning. I feel like when I combine the two, I use the rose water to give me hydration and the oil-free mattifying primer. It kind of gives me just the best base for my skin type. As weird as it sounds, one way I can really describe this primer is kind of like a liquid baby powder, and it's just because it's so smoothing on the skin. It's very like mattifying in the areas that you need it to be, but it's not overwhelmingly dry at the same time. So I really like that primer from the drugstore. So now it's time to actually start on the base of my face. I use the ECOTOOLS CC cream and use one little pump of the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Anti-Aging Perfector. So I would just mix these both on the back of my hand and do about 2 pumps of the CC cream to my 1 pump of the Neutrogena Skin Perfector. Alright, and I like to use my ECOTOOLS beauty sponge for this. I really like this sponge because of the angled sides, but I would just mix this up on the back of my hand. Making sure I'm blending down the neck and into the hairline as well, so I have no lines. Okay, so now that my base is blended out, I'm going to move on to concealer. Before I start that, one tip that I like to keep in mind is before I do my concealer and while I'm blending in my base, I like to make sure that I'm steering clear from my under eyes as I'm blending it out, because I don't want when I put my concealer on to be for it to be cakey or anything like that. So the concealer I use is just the NYX HD Studio Concealer. This is in the shade CW01. So I'm putting it just in my T-zone, under my eyes, in the outer corner of my eye because I have a little bit of darkness there, as well as on my lid to use as a base and a primer. And then I blend out with just the same beauty sponge I used earlier. The under eye is the quickest to crease, so I make sure I leave that to blend out last. And I really like this beauty sponge because of the angles. I'm able to really be precise in where I'm blending under my eyes, around my nose, and all of those areas. Okay, so now that my base is down, it is time to start with setting it. So I used to bake, but that takes a little bit more time than I want to do for my everyday routine. So I just use the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. And tap it into just the lid, and I'll use just a brush to set the T-zone and everywhere I put the concealer. So for the larger portions of my face, I'll just use this powder brush from BH Cosmetics. So the outsides of my cheeks as well as the sides of my forehead. Alright, now that my base is set, it is time to move on to bronzer, which is honestly probably my favorite part of my routine. So I am going to be using this palette from the BALM. It's the In the Balm of Your Hand Volume 2 palette that they have. And I use this palette every single day. I use it for the bronzer, the blush, and the eyeshadow. And it's so convenient because it's all just in one palette. So I'm going to be using the Bahama Mama bronzer as my bronzer today. And I just use that on a big stippling brush. Now it is time for my blush. So I am using Frat Boy from the palette, which I believe is the most like everyday wearing blush of the three that's in the palette. And I'm just making sure that there's not a harsh line between the bronzer and the blush, that they kind of just blend effortlessly together. I also like to place it just on the sides of my nose. And I learned this from another beauty guru on YouTube, and it basically just kind of gives you this sun-kissed look where you kind of just went outside, you got a little bit tan, a little bit burnt. I just really like the way that that looks. So now that that is set, it's time for my highlighter. So I'm actually using a Wet n Wild highlighter today instead of the one that does come in the palette. The Wet n Wild highlighter is in the shade Precious Petals. I highly recommend, if you've never tried the Wet n Wild highlighters, to give them a go. So to blend this out, I'm just using a crown brush. This is actually a small stippling brush usually used for contouring, but I really just like the way that it blends my highlighter out. I feel like sometimes if I use my small little highlighting fan brush, that it kind of streaks on the highlighter instead of really blending it in and just giving you that glowy and dewy look that I like, that's really natural. Alrighty, my base is done, so I'm going to go ahead and just take down my hair really quick. Alright, and then I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see just a little bit better. So at this time, I will go ahead and do my eyes. I actually just used the bronzer that's from the palette I used for my face, and a mixture of that and the shade Matte Russo. Matte Russo is a really pretty neutral shade that still has a little hint of like a peachy pink in it, which I really like, and I think it's very complimenting. And I'm using my Luxie 205 tapered blending brush to blend this into my crease. I like for my everyday look to just keep it really simple, so I will just use these two shades on the lid to give a little bit of like dimension, and it looked like I give a little bit more effort than just leaving the lid blank. And whatever is left on my brush, I will just put that on my lower lash line so it kind of evens it out. Okay, so now that my lids are done, I like to just go in with an inner corner highlight as well as my brow bone highlight. And I really prefer an icy shade to highlight compared to like a rosy gold shade that I prefer for my face. like using an icy shade for the inner corner, and the brow bone kind of just opens up the lid a lot more, makes you look a lot more awake. So if I was doing like my natural go-to glam-ish makeup, I would do eyeliner and all of that, but just for my everyday look, I keep it simple and just use mascara. So I'm just gonna curl my lashes really quick, and then I will show you the mascara that I really love. Okay, so my favorite mascara at the moment is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Waterproof Mascara. This is a dupe for the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara, if you've heard those comparisons and reviews. The Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara, I believe, is like $30, where the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise is around $7, give or take on both of those prices. I have already rebought this twice, and I'm about out of the product now, so I'm going to have to rebuy it again. But I just really love this mascara. Okay, so after about 1,000 coats of mascara later, I wanted to go ahead and mention something here about why I like this makeup look. Is because it still lets my skin like breathe. I'm not using this like heavy, super high coverage foundation where I can't still see my skin. I really like that I can still see my skin like through the makeup. So now I am just going to do my brows. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer. Which basically has the product on one side that's at an angle, which makes it easier to not only outline but fill in your brows. And then on the other end is a spoolie, so it has two ends, which I really like. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that brows are not my favorite thing to do. I just haven't fallen in this routine of like, I love my brows, I love the way that they look. But I do my best, and I'll just show you guys how I do them. So basically all that I do is just outline the bottom and outline the top. Not super harsh, but just with my natural eyebrow shape, and then just fill them in and kind of round out the edges. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, and then I will just use my spoolie to kind of clean up and brush out my brows. Okay, and I literally do the exact same brow whether I am just doing my everyday routine or I'm going like full out get ready. So these are the brows. And I would just set them using a clear brow gel. This is the Benefit Ready Set Brow. A quick disclaimer and almost like a warning for this product is if you're heavy-handed with this, it will literally be so sticky and stiff on your brows. I would just take it like out of the tube and I'll rub the bristles just right around the edges so I kind of get the excess product off, and then very light-handedly brush them through my brows. Alright, and so now all that I have to do is my lips. So this is my favorite lip combo as of right now. It is like my perfect everyday shade for me. I just use the NYX, this is their retractable lip liner in the shade Sand Beige. Alright, so now that I have used the lip liner, it's time to go in with my liquid lip. This is from the Sephora collection. If you've never tried them before, I highly suggest that you do. They have a very wide variety, a very wide range of shades, and obviously they are a lot more inexpensive than a lot of high-end liquid lips and lipsticks. So this one is in the shade 66, I believe. Okay, so now that we have finished the look, all it's time to do now is to set it so it doesn't budge. I use the Revlon Photo Ready Prep Set and Refreshed. Alright you guys, so this is the finished makeup look. This is my everyday makeup routine, so this is exactly what I do on an everyday basis. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I thank you so much again for clicking on this video and clicking on my channel and checking it out, since this is my first video. I hope that you stick around by hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the little bell button next to it that's going to turn your post notifications on, which basically is going to notify you every time that I upload. Since this is my first video, obviously there's so many more to come, and this is a fashion, lifestyle, and beauty channel, so I have lots of ideas, and I hope that you leave me a comment down below telling me an idea of a video that you want to see from me. And please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It's really going to support my channel. Thank you guys so much again for checking out my video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!